Hello and welcome to another Parks and Rec computer animation tutorial. I'm your host, Mr. Jamie, and this is part 2 of the Man's Best Friend tutorial using the 3D software Animator. If you have not done part 1, you need to go back and do that. The part 1 tutorial is necessary in order to do part 2. You cannot do this tutorial unless you do the part 1 one. Now, let's begin. Alright, so once you have Animator open, go to File and click Open. Find your file on your computer from the Part 1 and open it. You might also find it listed as a shortcut at the bottom as you see the arrow pointing here. And if you see it there, you can just click on it there. Next thing you want to do is the good old click View and All. Pretty much do that every time so that we can see all 4 views. You will see there are other views listed here. We will be using some of those today. Now we want to click the Mask Select tool. Click and drag and you'll make a little box. You want to draw that box around all the head pieces, but you want to make sure you don't include the neck. So you don't want to go too low so the neck doesn't get included. And then you let go and those pieces will be selected. If you got the neck, then try again. And then you're going to click Edit and Copy, but you're not going to do a paste. Then you're going to click Object, then New, and everything disappears. And then you're going to click Edit and Paste. Use the Move tool to center the head between the 2 guidelines in both front and top view. And then you're going to go to Settings, click Object. Where it says the object name, which I think will be Object 02, you want to change the text to Head and click OK. Then click Object and then Object 01. On that one, click Settings and Object and change Object 01 to Full Dog and click OK. And then we're going to use our select arrow to select the neck and then right click on one of the body spheres and then right click on the other body sphere and then both will be selected. Hit Edit Copy, click Object New and click Edit Paste. And now we're going to click Settings, then Object, rename that one to Body and then click OK. And then click Object and Full Dog. Keep in mind this is a regular video so you can pause it. So if you're not keeping up, just pause the video. Now we'll need the select arrow again and we're going to click on one leg. And then we're going to click Edit, then Copy, then Object, then New, then Edit, then Paste. You might be seeing a pattern here, doing the same thing to each object. And then we're going to use the Move tool and we're going to center it as best we can in both top view and front view. Click Settings, then Object. Change the name of this one to Leg. And this is the only leg we need. All our legs are the same, so we're just going to reuse it. Then click Object, then Full Dog. And now it's time to get the tail. So select arrow, click one of the spheres of the tail, then use the right click to select the others. You have to select them one at a time, right clicking, until you've got the entire tail and nothing else. Click Edit, then Copy, click Object, then New. And click Edit and Paste. Use the Move tool to center it in front and top views best you can. Click Settings and Object. You'll name it Tail. Click OK. Click File, then Save. Keep in mind this is not the place for fancy names. You just want to be able to identify what it is. Now it's time for something new. Let's go to Mode and then we're going to choose the second one, Figure. Do another View and then All. And then get your select arrow and you want to click on that blue triangle, which is the root bone. When you click on it, it turns white with a little dot on top. Then we get the new bone tool, as you see it pointed to here on the screen. And you click on the dot of that root bone and a new bone will appear. Here's some space for you to catch up. Alright, then we're going to click Build, Add Object. We're going to select the full dog and then click OK. In front view, we will move the dog with the Move tool so that the root bone is sticking out of the body from the middle. In left view, we want to move the dog so that the bones are in the center between the two spheres. Then we need the select arrow again to click on the upper bone, which now should be turning white. Use the add bone tool to put in a new bone, and then click, that's how you put in the new bone. Click the dot of the bone to add a new bone. Rotate bone tool, and you want to drag the dot of this bone in left view to rotate it flat. And then the grow bone tool, you're going to drag the bone in left view from the bone's dot, and you'll make it longer. You want to make it reach to where the legs are. Get the new bone tool, click on the dot of that bone to add a new bone, and you'll do that in top view. Now we need the rotate bone tool. Drag to rotate the new bone in top view so that it points at the leg. Then with the new bone tool, click on the dot of that bone to add yet another new bone. And once again, bone rotate tool. Drag to rotate the bone to follow the leg. Grow bone tool. Drag to make the bone as long as the leg is. Select arrow and select the backbone. You'll see a lot of repeating directions here as we're building bones. It's all the same movements for every bone. And now we need the new bone tool. We're going to work in top view and click the dot of the bone that's selected to add a new bone. Bone rotate tool to drag and rotate the bones in top view so that they're pointing towards the leg. And now we need our bone grow tool, and we're going to grow that bone out to the length of where the leg is, reaching to the top of the leg. We need a new bone tool, and we'll click the dot of the bone to add a new bone. Bone rotate tool to drag that bone so it points down the leg, and bone grow tool to make it the length of the leg. And select arrow, we're going to click on the bone above the root bone, and we're going to get the new bone tool, and in left view we're going to click where those bones meet to put in a new bone. Then we'll use the rotate bone tool, and in left view rotate the bone flat to point at the back legs. Then we need our grow bone tool. We're going to drag the bone to the back legs, and then we're going to get our new bone tool. In top view, we're going to click the dot of the bone to add a new bone. Bone rotate tool, rotate the bone so it points at the top leg. That's in top view. Alright, now we need the grow bone tool. In top view, drag to make the bone reach the back leg. Should match the length of the front bones. New bone tool, click on the dot of the bone to add a new bone. Click view, then back. Click view, then all. So we've changed our views. Now we need our bone rotate tool. We're in back view. Drag to rotate the bone so that it follows the leg. Grow bone tool. Drag from the dot of the bone to make it the length of the leg, and then click view and then top so we can put our view back. And then with our select arrow working in top view, we're going to click on the back bone to select it. You'll see which bone in the picture there. And then we're going to use the new bone tool, click where the bones meet to add a new bone, get the bone rotate tool, and drag to rotate that bone so it points at the leg. And then once again, grow bone tool, drag the top of the bone to make it reach the leg. New bone tool, click on the dot of the bone to make a new bone. Click View and then Back. It says the back, but it should say then back. Little typo on my part there. Now, Bone Rotate tool, grab the dot of the bone to rotate it so it follows the leg. Bone Grow tool, drag to make the bone the length of the leg. Click View, then Top. Click View, then All. A couple of view changes so that we can reach some bones we wouldn't otherwise be able to see. Now, in left view, we need Select Arrow. We're going to click on the bone above the root bone again to select it. We're going to get the New Bone tool, and we're going to click where the bone meets the other bones to add a new bone. Grow Bone tool, drag the dot of that bone to make it longer. We're going to extend it to the top of the spheres. Now we need a New Bone tool. Click on the dot of that bone to add a new bone. Rotate Bone tool, we're going to rotate this bone so that it points towards the tail. Bone Grow tool, then we're going to drag the dot of the bone until it reaches the start of the tail. Now we got the New Bone tool again. Click the dot of the bone to create a new bone. Grow Bone tool, and we're going to grow that bone out to make it longer. Keep in mind it's not going to follow the tail. The tail curves, the bone is straight, so don't worry about it curving. Use the Select Arrow and click on the bone running up to the back to select it. And now with our New Bone tool, we're going to click on the dot of that bone running up the back to add a new bone. Take the Bone Rotate tool, drag to rotate the bone so it points at the neck. Use the Grow Bone tool, drag to bring the bone to the center top of the neck. You may need to go back to the Rotate tool to adjust it if it's not quite in the right spot. Now with the New Bone tool, click the dot of the bone to add a new bone. Rotate that bone with the Bone Rotate tool. We want it to point at the middle of the head. Bone Grow tool, drag the dot of that bone and make it go right through his head. Ouch. Now we need our Select Arrow. We're going to click on the dog, but we don't want to select any bones, so we got to click where there are no bones. Then we're going to hit Delete on your keyboard or DEL, but make sure your number lock is off. Then use your Select Arrow and click on the backbone to select it. Click Build, then Add Object. Select Body from the list. Click OK. Use your Move tool, and in left view, move the body into the proper position. Now use your Select Arrow. Click on the head bone to select it. That looks kind of freaky, but click Build, then Add Object. Click Head, and then OK. Use your Move tool and put that head into position. Right now it will be looking downward. Now we're going to fix that with the Rotate tool and use the right mouse button. Rotate by dragging on the right mouse button and get that head looking straight. Use your Select Arrow. Click on the tailbone to select it. Click Build, then Add Object. Click Tail, and then click OK. Now with your Rotate tool and your Move tool, use those tools to get the tail in the correct place. When you rotate, remember to use the right mouse button, and you probably need to flip it completely around. It's probably upside down. Select Arrow, click on a front leg, click Build, Add Object, and choose Leg. Now use the Rotate tool and the right button to fix the rotation of the leg. Use the Move tool to drag it to its correct position, and then repeat these steps for all the other legs until all four have a leg object on them. You may need to pause here to make sure you have time to do that. Now we're going to turn off the bones, and by doing so we can see if everything's put together correctly. Use your Move tool and Rotate tool if not to get things in the right place. Then turn your bones on. And now it's time for a little fun. Take your Select Arrow, select a bone, and the Bone Rotate tool and move it, and you can see how your dog moves. Now that will conclude for this tutorial, end of part 2. In part 3, we're going to do more movements. We're going to go to sequence mode and we're going to make a sequence where a dog walks. So stay tuned for that one. So when this craziness comes to an end, be looking for our Newport News Parks, Rec, and Tourism Instructional Programs class, 3D Computer Animation. There's a couple of those. There's robots, there's castles. Sometimes we have holiday and sometimes we have snowman. And so be on the lookout for those. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye.